Hey, Stoic friends! Have you ever found yourself bending over backward for others, only to feel like your efforts go unnoticed? You give so much of yourself, always saying yes, accommodating everyone's needs, and putting their happiness ahead of your own. And what do you get in return? Not the gratitude or respect you might hope for, but a nagging feeling of being taken for granted. It's as if the more you give, the less people see you. Being too nice can feel like a strength after all. Isn't kindness a virtue? Yes, it is, but when it comes at the expense of your own well-being, it becomes a weakness. People often confuse niceness with weakness, and in doing so, they may start to value you less. You might notice others assuming you'll always be there, prioritizing their needs over your boundaries, or even dismissing your opinions because they see you as agreeable rather than assertive. This isn't your fault. It's a pattern that happens to many of us who care deeply about others. But the truth is, being overly nice doesn't make people like or respect you more. Instead, it can make them take you for granted. And the harsh reality? It kills your charisma. Charisma isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about owning your presence and knowing your worth. True charisma comes from balance, being kind but firm, generous but with boundaries, empathetic but not self-sacrificing. When you let go of the need to overplease and start prioritizing yourself, you send a powerful message. You respect yourself, and others should too. Today, we'll explore how being too nice can work against you and what you can do to reclaim your power. If you've ever felt drained from giving too much, stay tuned. You're not alone, and there's a way out of this cycle. Let's dive in. Number 1. Pleasing everyone leaves you empty. One of the most common traps of being too nice is the constant drive to please everyone around you. You say yes to every request, whether it's a friend needing help moving, a colleague asking for extra work, or a family member demanding your time. While it's admirable to want to make others happy, this endless cycle of saying yes at the expense of your own well-being leaves you feeling drained and unappreciated. Over time, you start to feel as if there's nothing left for you, no time, no energy, and no space for your own growth. Imagine a situation where a friend constantly calls you for advice, but when you're in need, they're nowhere to be found. It feels like your kindness is being taken for granted, doesn't it? You might not express it at first, but as the pattern continues, resentment begins to build. It's a silent, slow-burning frustration that robs you of your peace. Seneca once said, "Maybe, if you wish to be rich, do not add to your money but subtract from your desire." In a similar way, if you want to enrich your life with peace and self-worth, stop constantly giving away parts of yourself to others. You don't have to say yes to everyone to be a good person. Instead, make the conscious decision to value your own needs first. When you stop chasing the approval of others and prioritize self-respect, you create space for meaningful connections and opportunities that honor your worth. True charisma starts with boundaries, and boundaries begin with self-respect. When you stop pleasing everyone else, you'll start to feel more aligned with yourself, more grounded, and more capable of giving from a place of genuine desire, not obligation. Are you ready to stop pleasing everyone and start prioritizing yourself? Drop self-respect first in the comments to affirm your commitment to valuing your own needs. Number 2, over-niceness creates weak boundaries. Eyeing overly nice can make it difficult to say no, leaving your boundaries vulnerable to constant violation. While it might seem harmless at first, failing to set limits can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and a loss of self-respect. People who struggle with boundaries often fear conflict or disappointing others, but without clear limits, others may take advantage of your kindness, intentionally or unintentionally. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Setting boundaries is about protecting your peace and taking control of what you can, your choices. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Think of a friend who always relies on you to solve their problems but disappears when you need support, or a colleague who constantly shifts their workload onto you. At first, you oblige, thinking you're being helpful, but as time goes on, their demands grow and your patience wears thin. Why? Because they've learned that your lack of boundaries allows them to overstep. Strong boundaries don't push people away, they show that you value your time and energy. For example, when asked to cover a colleague's tasks for the third time in a week, a firm yet respectful response like, "I'd love to help, but I can't take on anything extra right now," sets a clear limit. People may initially resist, but over time, they'll come to respect you more. As Maya Angelou said, when you teach people how to treat you, you also teach them what you won't tolerate. Boundaries are a reflection of your self-worth. When you honor them, others will follow suit. Have you struggled with setting boundaries? Share your affirmation for stronger limits in the comments with "protected peace." Today is the day to reclaim your energy and set the standards you deserve. Number 3, kindness without confidence falls flat. Kindness is undoubtedly a virtue, but when it's not paired with confidence, it can easily fall flat. Think about it. Kindness with a lack of self-assurance may come across as insecurity, or worse, as an attempt to gain approval at the expense of your own self-respect. When you're constantly giving without standing firm in who you are, people may begin to take your kindness for granted, or worse, they might see you as an easy target to manipulate. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your self-belief shapes not only your experience of kindness, but how others perceive it. When you are confident, your actions are grounded in self-worth, which naturally makes your kindness feel authentic and powerful. Without this foundation, kindness can become an empty gesture, seeking validation instead of offering genuine goodwill. Consider a scenario where someone gives a compliment but avoids eye contact or speaks with hesitation. While the words may be kind, the delivery lacks strength and conviction. This often leaves the receiver unsure about the sincerity of the gesture. But imagine if the same person looked you in the eye, smiled confidently, and spoke with certainty. That same compliment would carry much more weight and would likely resonate with you on a deeper level. True charisma is not just about being nice, it's about being a confident, kind presence in any room. Confidence doesn't need to be loud or overbearing. It's a quiet assurance that what you offer is valuable. Whether you're offering a compliment, helping a friend, or standing up for yourself, confidence amplifies your kindness and makes it more meaningful. As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. When your kindness is rooted in confidence, it leaves a lasting impression because it's felt deeply rather than just heard. Are you ready to combine kindness with confidence? Drop confident kindness in the comments to affirm your power and self-assurance. Number 4, neglecting your true feelings hurts your identity. When you're too nice, it's easy to fall into the trap of suppressing your true feelings in order to keep the peace. You might agree with decisions that don't align with your values, simply to avoid conflict or make others happy. But over time, this compromises your sense of self and erodes your identity. You become so focused on pleasing others that you lose sight of who you truly are. Think about a situation where you let a partner, friend, or colleague make all the decisions for you. Perhaps you agree to plans you don't want to do, or you sacrifice your own desires to accommodate theirs. At first, it might feel easier to avoid the discomfort of confrontation, but what you're actually doing is allowing your needs to be ignored which in turn diminishes your sense of self-worth. The more you suppress your true feelings, the more you lose touch with the person you really are. As Seneca wisely said, "He who is brave is free." True bravery comes from expressing your authentic self, your thoughts, your boundaries, and your desires without fear of how others might react. This is the core of charisma. When you embrace your true feelings, even when it's uncomfortable, you communicate a sense of self-respect and strength that others can't help but admire. Imagine the power in saying, "I don't agree with that," or "that doesn't feel right for me," and standing by it. That confidence doesn't just protect your identity, it also demands respect from those around you. It's not about being confrontational, it's about being true to yourself, knowing that your opinions and feelings matter just as much as anyone else's. The more you honor your true feelings, the more you step into your personal power, and that is when your true charisma shines. When you stop suppressing who you are for the sake of others, you become magnetic, because authenticity is always attractive. Are you ready to stop sacrificing your identity for others? Drop "true to myself" in the comments to affirm your commitment to living authentically. Number 5. Too much niceness breeds emotional fatigue. Constantly being the go-to person for everyone else's problems can be incredibly draining. You listen to their struggles, provide advice, and lend a shoulder to cry on, all while neglecting your own emotional needs. It may feel fulfilling to help others, but when it becomes a one-sided dynamic, it leaves you emotionally depleted. Eventually, you're so consumed with taking care of others that you lose sight of your own well-being. Think about that friend who always calls you with their latest crisis. They share their fears, frustrations, and disappointments, but never ask about how you're doing. You've probably found yourself giving emotional support without ever receiving it in return. In the beginning, being the supportive friend might feel rewarding, but over time, you start to feel emotionally drained, like you've given all your energy away without anything left for yourself. This kind of imbalance can lead to burnout and emotional fatigue, affecting your mental health and your ability to show up for others in a meaningful way. As Maya Angelou wisely said, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have." But this doesn't apply to emotional energy. Unlike creativity, emotional energy isn't limitless. When you constantly pour yourself into others, without taking time to replenish yourself, you eventually run dry. That's why it's essential to set boundaries and create emotional balance. If you give too much, you risk losing the ability to care for others with the same compassion. Protecting your emotional reserves is crucial. It's not selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking time for self-care, establishing boundaries, and checking in with your own needs allows you to maintain the energy needed to be genuinely supportive without sacrificing your own well-being. Are you ready to protect your energy and find balance? Drop "protect my peace" in the comments to affirm your commitment to emotional well-being. Number 6. They stop valuing what comes too easily. When you're always accommodating and putting others' needs before your own, you may think you're being generous and selfless. However, over time, people can begin to take you for granted. The truth is, when things come too easily, they lose their value. People start to expect your kindness as a given and forget to appreciate it. Imagine you have a partner or a friend who you always support unconditionally. You're always there for them no matter what, even when they don't reciprocate or show appreciation. In the beginning, they might express gratitude and feel lucky to have you in their corner. But as time passes, they begin to take your support for granted. They don't see it as something valuable, they simply expect it. As Seneca wisely said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The same applies to relationships. When you constantly give without restraint, there's no friction or effort required from the other person, and as a result, they don't recognize your value. People begin to respect what they have to work for, not what's handed to them. Stepping back and creating some distance while still being kind and supportive can make others realize the importance of your presence in their lives. By not always being available, or by placing healthy boundaries around your time and energy, you force others to acknowledge your worth. This act of restraint doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're teaching others how to value what you bring to the table. It's time to stop giving away your time and energy without recognition. When you give only when it's truly deserved, people will start to appreciate you more for the effort you put into the relationship. Are you ready to make them value what you bring to the table? Drop "Earn my respect" in the comments to commit to healthier boundaries and mutual appreciation in your relationships. Number 7. Charisma lies in balance, not sacrifice. True charisma isn't about pleasing everyone or constantly sacrificing your own needs to make others happy. It's about finding a balance between kindness and self-respect. The most magnetic individuals are not those who are always available, always sacrificing their time and energy for others. Instead, they are those who know their worth and remain true to themselves without bending to every demand. Think of someone who listens to others attentively but knows when to set boundaries. They show genuine care and empathy, but they don't give up their own sense of self to gain approval. They speak their truth with kindness and stand firm in their values. This balance of warmth and strength creates a presence that draws others in. As Maya Angelou wisely said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." This speaks to the power of knowing who you are and maintaining your integrity, regardless of external pressures. True charisma comes when you are confident in who you are and can share that confidence in a way that feels authentic. It's about respecting both yourself and others without losing sight of your own needs and values. When you're able to strike this balance, offering kindness but not at the cost of your own well-being, you naturally become someone people gravitate towards. You exude a magnetic energy because others sense your authenticity and respect for yourself. The most charismatic individuals aren't those who sacrifice themselves for others, but those who act with integrity and show others how to treat them with respect. Are you ready to embrace the balance that fuels true charisma? Drop "Balance is key" in the comments to affirm your commitment to finding strength and warmth in everything you do. Thank you for spending time reflecting on why being too nice can sometimes dim your light. Charisma thrives not in endless giving, but in balance, respecting yourself while connecting genuinely with others. It's a lesson shaped by real experiences where boundaries are not walls but pathways to healthier, more meaningful relationships. Your presence matters when it's authentic and strong. If today's thoughts spoke to you, share your stories or questions in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay true to who you are.